dance by the water neath the Mexican sky. Drink some margaritas by a string of blue lights. Listen to the mariachi play at midnight. Are you with me? Are you with me? I wanna dance by the water neath the Mexican sky. Drink some margaritas by a string of blue lights. Listen to the mariachi play at midnight. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Good morning, traders. How are y'all doing today? Welcome back and happy hump day, ladies and gentlemen. My favorite day of the week. It is hump day, April 27th, 9 o'clock in the morning. And am I fired up again? I can't tell you the last day I have not been fired up to get out of bed, to come inside a chat, and to work with each and every one of you. And I'm even more fired up today because right at 8 o'clock, we jump on the mic to answer a question for a member in chat. We see COSM setting up, and this stock was a great, fantastic pre-market trade. So if anybody grabbed COSM as we were discussing that on the live stream around 8 o'clock, good job and congratulations. My you know what, put a limit order to buy at 220, and the second I click buy, boop, it's at 230, 235. 240. I'm like, man, I feel like I'm chasing it. 250, 260. Oh, I can't get in now. Hits both targets within 15 minutes on COSM. That would have been the one and done. So I'm a little upset with that. A little upset, but it's all good. It's a good feeling knowing that we see a killer setup, an A+ setup, and it worked beautifully. The stock's proving itself. It's a good feeling, even though I missed the trade, and some of you guys maybe missed it as well. It's still a good feeling knowing that we called it. We saw it, knew exactly what to expect, great risk to reward, and the stock worked out beautifully. So it just revalidates we know what we're doing. And that's my mindset when it comes to missing trades. A lot of traders get frustrated, they get upset, and they start chasing the stock. What I do is I say, you know what? It's really cool to see that work out the way I thought it was going to work out. If I was in the trade, it would have been very profitable. So the next time I see something similar, I'm definitely going to be very confident to jump in to make those profits. That's your mindset that it has to be, guys, if we miss trades. But anyway, let's not dive into that. Let's not get on an early morning tangent or an early morning rant. Let's just dive into it, guys. So again, hit me with a big old good morning and happy hump day. What's up, everybody over on YouTube as well? Carlos, what's up? Jack, Eric, Mr. Steve, what's up, buddy? Good morning and happy hump day, my favorite day of the week. Let's go ahead and dive into what we got going on. It's a pretty easy day, traders. All right, very easy day. There's a lot of stocks gapping up. There's only a few stocks that really look the best right now in pre-market, and I want to start with this market conditions. All right, what are market conditions? I don't want to start off my day negative. I want to start off positive. Today's a brand new day full of brand new opportunities. But what do we know especially about penny stocks that typically what we see develop and unfold on Monday will set the tone for the rest of the week, and we absolutely saw that yesterday as well. Very choppy market conditions, right? Lots of rug pulls, lots of false breakouts, a lot of great setups failing, a lot of really bad setups, ugly setups like why in the world would I touch it, ripping and running. The market's choppy. So what did we say yesterday? Play with the chop. That means you may need to scale in a little bit, be less aggressive on your position sizing, open up your stops, give these stocks a little bit more breathing room. The market is not super predictable and super clean to where it's like, man, I nailed this entry to the penny and we get those moves. There's a lot of chop, so make sure you're positioning yourself correctly around this choppy market, or realize I don't like the chop, so maybe I sit back today and not trade. Sometimes the best trade is no trade. Sometimes we need to really control our aggression and really scale back on size. So just be mindful about the market that we're in and trade accordingly. All right, that's all you guys need to do. Just be aware of the market that you're in and trade with the market, not against the market. If the market's choppy, trade with the chop. How do we trade with the chop? Maybe we take less position size, we scale into our trades, but that allows us to open up our stop losses in the beginning if the stock is going to be choppy, and we could always add to it into a full position versus going all in, getting chopped out, and then the stock ripping and running without you, and maybe now you're out of day trades or out of capital. So just be very mindful and aware of what we've seen so far over the past 2 days. Number one stock that we will be watching today is going to be COSM. Okay, so COSM, there is no news on this stock, but it is number 2 on the leaderboard. Actually, it's number 1 on the leaderboard because AGRX is a reverse stock split. It's not worth your time. COSM is up 118%, trading 15 million shares on average, 70,000, 10 million in float. But why is the stock moving? That's always the question we have to ask ourselves. Why is the stock moving right now? What's the catalyst? Right? There's no news on the stock. There's no filings. Right? It's not like it's a high short float stock. So why in the world is the stock moving? Well, what I see is the stock has just been beaten down, beaten down, beaten down, beaten down. We literally just dropped below $1. And if we look back, since this stock was around 70 cents and it ran up towards around, what, $7, that looks like it was maybe a reverse stock split. I don't know, maybe a name change. This stock really hasn't been under $1 for a very, very long time. So when did we drop below $1? Well, we actually dropped below $1 on COSM just here on Monday. So Monday, we dropped below $1. Traders coming in for either A dead cat bounce, or B, the stock was re-breaking $1. So when did we see this stock really start moving? It was mainly post-market, but this stock was at 85 cents, back above $1, closed above $1, and then what happened, right? And we actually had some volume too. So it was probably hitting some scanners for volume. Maybe it's hitting a breakout scanner as it was breaking back above $1. It was making consistent new highs a day. So maybe that brought traders' focus over to the stock saying, hey, this could be a good dead cat bounce. Back above $1, maybe it follows through, and it is now following through. So that's what I see is we drop below $1, we are regaining $1, and it just caught a lot of attention and a lot of focus, and now a lot of volume. So I would say that's the catalyst. A little bit of a dead cat bounce, regaining $1 after the we previously dropped below $1. So right now with COSM, we do have some support back down towards around 203. 203 coming from the daily chart. Now, if we do drop below 203, right underneath these pre-market lows, right around like 191, 192 support here on COSM. But right now, pretty good support right around that 203 level. We will have some resistance around 259 and then resistance back up towards around 287. Now, if this is the number one stock of the day and it starts ripping and running, we do have potential to see this up towards around $3.65 here on COSM. COSM found it. Look at Beth coming in clutch. COSM announces 2 presentations at upcoming COSM 2022 podium presentations at the upcoming 2022 combined spring meetings being held April 27th to May 1st. Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you, Beth, for throwing up that article so we can use that to back up this trade as well. So again, right now, looking at every single stock here in pre-market, this is the most consistent stock so far, and this is where I would say most of our focus should be right at the start of the day. All right, moving on to VIVK. Okay, this stock, just like every stock so far, for the most part, has news, rips on up, dumps on back down. All right, we saw that a lot Monday. We saw that a lot yesterday. We're seeing that again today for the most part. Stock with news, quick spike, dumping on back down. What's going on with VIVK? Well, they win a contract for the sale of asphalt from its Utah facility. Potential value up to $250 million over the next 10 years. So we do have they're winning a contract and receiving a large sum of money. Those are those keywords to be looking for in this press release. So VIVK has a catalyst. There is a reason for the stock to currently be up about 76% at this point in time. We are trading good volume, 4.5 million shares on average. We trade 178,000 shares, and it's a 10 million in float stock. So we know this stock could potentially rip and run. And we do have this potential gap that could be filled here on the daily chart. So breaking over 467 and $5, we could start to see this moving on up towards around 633, and then possibly that 200-day moving average of $7.15. Right now, where is support here on VIVK? Well, this is a pretty ugly daily chart, so there's not a lot of data to kind of base these really solid levels off of when it comes to support. But what I would say is probably right around that 296 level, right? You have a doji spiking high, you got another high a day, high a day, high a day, high a day. We see there's a good amount of resistance right around 296, and it's right at that $3 psychological level. So I would say right around that 296 to $3 is a decent little level of support. But if we crack below that level, the next level that we see here on the daily chart would be back down towards around $2.21. All right, we do have some room back up to 413, 467. We have a break for 467 and 5. We could start to fill this daily gap up towards around 633 and maybe even 715. We have volume, low float. There is news, but again, this stock is doing what a lot of stocks have done this week in pre-market, ripping on up, dumping on back down. So we will watch this stock, but I still think at this point in time, COSM has the better potential right out of the gate, and that's where a lot of my focus is going to be. Next, we have KTRA, another stock that's just very, very choppy and a nice little downtrend here in pre-market. But if we look at KTRA, what's going on here, right? So there is a press release. This company, they focus on the development of new solid tumor cancer therapies. And they do have a presentation at a corporate event showcasing this for the year of 2022. The conference is going to begin May 3rd to May 5th. They're in Vegas. So they are a company that develops new solid tumor cancer therapies, and they're going to be announcing some data here at a conference May 3rd to May 5th. So this stock's getting a little bit of activity, but again, it just doesn't look the best. This stock is just really choppy, falling on down, not a lot of volume. At one point, it was leading the board, but right now we don't even see KTRA on the leaderboard at this point in time. It's actually all the way back down here because it's not even really gapping up at this point in time. But again, just wanted to bring it to your attention. If this stock is moving today, if there is opportunity, just know that there is a press release. There is a conference. They're going to be presenting some new data between May 3rd and May 5th here with KTRA. But again, not looking the best at this point in time. I think we have better opportunity out there. AFIB, all right, what's going on with this stock? So AFIB agrees to sell portfolio of heart devices to Medtronic. So AFIB selling their portfolio of heart devices to another company, Medtronic. So AFIB currently up right now at this point in time, 46%, trading 13 million shares on average 500,000. So we do have high relative volume. Another low float stock currently gapping on up. And since that nice little move up into the 144s, we've just been sitting sideways. This reminds me of the stock we were looking at yesterday. It was EVOK. We had some news. It ripped up to the 140s, kind of consolidated, pulled back a little bit to $1. We had an attempted bounce off $1, and then we just faded all freaking day. So the press release isn't really all that strong. The chart doesn't look the best. And it reminds me a little bit of EVOK, to where it comes down to that $1 level and it just doesn't hold. It chops around, and it was pretty challenging to trade that stock. And again, I look at this right now and there's not a lot of opportunity. So what I would like to see is the stock open up, drop down to $1, and actually see if it holds $1. And if so, maybe we have an opportunity to lock in some profits here on AFIB. But again, right now it's not really doing too much. It's been sitting sideways between $1 and $1.25 for the past 2 hours. So right now support is back down towards around $1 on AFIB, with top resistance being 140 to 144, 150 psychological resistance, and then possibly up towards around 175 and 190 here on AFIB, but not the best looking stock. Still at this point in time, COSM looks to be the best. And one of the biggest reasons why I still think this could be the best stock for the day is it's already proven itself. It's already given us a really clean setup, a really nice setup, and it broke and it proved itself that it wants to move higher, and it can move higher, and there is interest, there is volume. So right now, our job is to eliminate the noise and try to identify what stocks have all of the focus, have a majority of the focus from traders in the market. And it's pretty safe to say that a majority of the focus right now is still here on COSM. But we are going to be watching VIVK. There is a press release. The stock is currently gapping up 87%. We could see it move today. KTRA, another stock with a press release, but again, right now, not really gapping up, not looking the best. But if it does start moving, we know why it is moving today. AFIB, another stock with a pretty decent press release that has potential for the day, but I still think there's better opportunity with maybe some of these prior day movers, such as NUTX. So NUTX got a nice little bounce yesterday, one of yesterday's top gainers from around $5 to $13.81. And we are slightly gapping up here in pre-market. Currently gapping up 19%, trading 4.8 million shares, on average 5 million shares. It's a very large float stock, but that large float didn't phase it yesterday. The stock ran from 5 to 13.81. And if all else fails, if AFIB does nothing, if COSM does nothing, KTRA does nothing, and VIVK does nothing, what do you think traders are going to do? They're going to go back to prior day movers. What stocks ripped yesterday? Which stocks moved Monday and last week that traders could go back to that have already ripped, and they could definitely rip again? So we will be watching NUTX to see if the stock has any juice left in it. And like I said, if all else fails and nothing else is moving today, maybe we get some action again here with NUTX. We do have bottom support back down towards around 779, with top resistance being between 970 and $10. Breaking over that 970 and $10 level here on NUTX, we do have some potential up to 1066. We have some potential up to 1124, and then back up to yesterday's highs right around $13.80 here on NUTX. So we will be watching NUTX today. A little bit of a back burner stock at this point in time. We will be watching FRGE as well. Now, FRGE was one of those ugly mid-candle breakouts, but it actually worked out beautifully. We broke on out, consolidated, didn't dump on off, got a nice little grind to the upside, back up towards around Friday's spiking high of 20 bucks. And we're not dumping on off. We're actually sitting sideways right now through post-market and pre-market. So I'm curious to see if FRGE has any juice left in it. We start breaking back above $20 and $20.57. That's when I expect to see a lot of big time volume really start moving back in to FRGE. We could see it up towards around 24.65, then 26.82, and then possibly up towards around that 27.93, and then maybe filling that small daily gap up towards around $29.50. So right now, I want to sit back and relax, but if we do break above that $20 level and hold above it, that's when some volume could really start moving on in, pushing the stock to 24.65, 26.82, 27.93, and then possibly filling that small gap here up towards around $29.54. EVOK was yesterday's really nasty, choppy stock. This stock was a challenge to trade yesterday. There was a lot of great opportunity. Nice big rip from 40 cents to 141. We knew we were going to have profit taking out of the gate because it was gapping up big time. Coming down to $1, trying to bounce, trying to set up a few times, just not able to get that follow through, not able to get that action to the upside. But right now we are starting to grind on up here just a little bit in pre-market. We ran back up towards around 111, and we are slowly just kind of pulling back here down towards around 87 cents. We are slightly gapping up at this point in time, and we do have this big downtrend to keep on watch here with EVOK. So EVOK, let's see if this stock can stay above these pre-market lows. This could be one big bounce followed by one big higher low. If we ever see this break the downtrend back above VWAP and back above $1 as well, we could absolutely see some action here back up towards around that 109, 110 level, and then possibly back up to retest yesterday's pre-market highs of 141. Now, what's also significant about the level that we're holding above right now? So not 80 cents, not that pre-market low, but what's significant about the level that we're trying to hold above right now at this point in time? It's our 200-day moving average of 86 cents. We're actually at 87 cents, so slightly above that 200 SMA. But if we open and we do stay above 86 cents and we start to see the break of the downtrend off 86 cents, that could be an area to get involved right around 90 cents, locking in profits around $1 and $1.10 with really nice tight stops back below that pre-market low. So we do have some decent opportunity here with EVOK. However, it was a really choppy stock yesterday and it was really challenging to trade. So if it does clean itself up, if it is moving today, if it is consistent and predictable, we absolutely should be watching EVOK once again for today. But at this point in time, it is a back burner stock. Then we have VERU, possible mid-candle breakout. Now, these mid-candle breakouts are pretty ugly. They're not the best looking mid-candle breakouts, but here's the thing. We've been seeing a lot of, really ugly mid-candle breakouts play out lately. So FRGE was a pretty ugly mid-candle breakout. We want to see strong candle closures and then a solid gap down. This gave us a big upper shadow. So this was an ugly mid-candle breakout, but it broke out. So when we look at VERU, right, nice big green day. We did gap down. We spiked a little bit first, but we did close right in the middle. So not the cleanest looking mid-candle breakout, but it is meeting that criteria to a certain extent of being a mid-candle breakout. So I definitely think we should be watching VERU again today for that possible mid-candle breakout. Breaking back above 13 and 1332 is where I expect to see that volume really start to move on in, pushing the stock possibly back up towards around 1433. And then yesterday's highs around 1547 on VERU. Next one we have is RUBY with a possible mid-candle breakout as well. Big green day there on Monday, gap down right in the middle. And the other reason that I like RUBY as well, besides the mid-candle breakout, is yesterday's low of day where we bounced was right off that doji. So these are indecision candles, right? Dojis are indecision. That was an indecision candle. That was, hey, we could maybe start to reverse or we could continue the downtrend. When we see dojis like this on higher time frames, such as the daily, these indecision candles, these doji candles do like to hold as levels of support and resistance. And we do see stocks bounce off these levels. So why in the world did we come down to 162 yesterday and bounce? Well, that was that doji candle that we bounced off of. So not only validating that doji candle as support, now setting up for a possible mid-candle breakouts as well. So this stock breaking above 192, that's when we could see some action up to 218 and then 233 here on RUBY. And if this stock really starts taking on off, we have potential to 250 and then up towards around that 20 EMA at $2.90. Bottom support right now being 162. And then last but not least, possible mid-candle breakout in KTX, okay? Again, not the best looking mid-candle breakout, but we have a big green day. Day number 2, ideally want to see these small little red days. Small little green day, but it's still right in the middle of the first big green day. So this stock breaking above 1725 to 1750 is where I would expect to see that big time volume really start to move on in, pushing the stock back up towards around the 200-day moving average of 1877. Support right now is back down at yesterday's low of 1554. However, we could hold above yesterday's open right around 1634, and we could hold above yesterday's close of 1678. So just look at yesterday's levels. Yesterday's close, open, and low. Those are going to be your better levels of support. Resistance, yesterday's high, 1726. And that's where we typically see the volume move in for these mid-candle breakouts, is when we break over the second day's high a day. In this case, it'd be 1726. That's where I'd expect to see some big time volume start to move on in up towards around the 1877. So we have NKTX for a possible mid-candle breakout. We have RUBY with a possible mid-candle breakouts, and we have VERU with a possible yet ugly mid-candle breakout. EVOK, back burner stock at this point in time, above 80 cents, ideally holding above 86 cents, which is our 200-day moving average. If we get a nice little break of the downtrend, we could see some action back up towards around $1 and $1.09. FRGE was a stock that actually broke out of its mid-candle breakout yesterday. We could see another day of continuation to the upside. Over that $20 to $20.57 level is where I'd expect to see some more volume start to move back in, up towards around $24.65. NUTX, another back burner stock. If all else fails and these top gaining stocks don't do anything today, that's when I think traders could start resorting back over to NUTX to see if they could get it going again today. So it is a stock on watch. We do have support at $7.79. Top resistance between $9.72 and $10. And then we could see it up towards around $10.66, $11.24, and $13.48. But top stocks to watch out of the gate. Top stocks with fresh news and fresh volume that have fresh activity today that could be the top gaining stocks. That's going to be AFIB, COSM, right now the number one stock that I want to be watching out of the gate. Possibly KTRA, but I highly doubt it. That's definitely a back burner at this point in time. And then maybe VIVK as well. All right, guys. The SPY. All right, the SPY, pretty brutal, pretty nasty day yesterday. The key level that we're looking for is yesterday's close, 416.10. If we're cracking below 416.10, we have potential to fall back down to 413 and then 411. Now, if we hold above that 416.10 and it looks like we're going to have a decent little green day, maybe bounce on back up, we could see it bounce on back up into Monday's low of day, which was right around that 418.97. So again, from 416.10 to 418.97, that's about a $3 move to the upside. And we all know that, hey, these daily expiration contracts at a 3-point move can produce triple-digit returns, some pretty nice returns. So we do have potential to the long side. We do have potential to the short side. Ideally, I would love to see the SPY crack below that 416.10 and fade back down to 413 and then that 411 to retest that prior low back in March. But if we do hold above yesterday's close, we could see it back up towards around 418.97 and then 420.84. One thing I do want to point out as well is this massive multi-day downtrend going back from Friday, connecting post-market on Monday, and we could see it back up towards around this downtrend. So if we are breaking above 418.97, we are breaking above 420.84, and you're wondering where's the next place this stock could go, I would say back up towards around 422.26 into yesterday's resistance and into this massive multi-day downtrend as well. We could see it up there, get rejected, and then start to roll on back over into the 410s. And it's the same thing with the Qs, right? The Qs, looking at yesterday's close, if we hold this level, we could absolutely bounce back up to 322.55. And 322.55 also lines up with this massive multi-day downtrend as well. So with the Qs and with the SPY, we will be looking primarily at yesterday's close to see what happens out of the gate. If we are cracking and staying above that blue line, yesterday's close, we could look for an immediate short down to those pre-market lows. With the Qs, that's 311.55. that would be a $6 drop, a $5 drop to the downside on the Qs if we are cracking and holding below yesterday's lows and retesting those post-market lows of 311.88. But if we are holding above that 317.14, yesterday's close, we do have potential back up to 322.55 into this downtrend, and that's where I'd be really looking for a short there on the Qs, and same thing with the SPY. If we do make it back up to that level, into that downtrend as well, that's when I'm really getting interested in a possible short here on the SPY as well. All right, guys, so that's what we have for the day. Primary focus with options, the SPY, the Qs. We do have some earnings tonight, some big earnings tonight. We have Facebook, Meta, PayPal, Ford, Qualcomm. So it's going to be a pretty interesting post-market session with earnings, so get prepared for those guys. But options for the day, the SPY, the Qs. And right out of the gate, I would say COSM is going to be one of the top stocks that we are watching. But for the most part, sit back, relax, understand the market has been choppy. Market conditions haven't been the best. Stocks are very unpredictable, not very consistent. So again, sit back, relax, wait for the best setups. Let's see what stocks hit our breakout scanners, the high of the day momentum scanner, halt, resume. Really get a great idea on where traders are going, what stock are they wanting to trade, and let's make it happen. Let's have some fun, and let's lock in some profits. All right, so the day is started, and we are going to make it happen today, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm sitting back personally, waiting for the absolute best of the best setups. A lot of my focus today, team, is going to be on the SPY and the Qs. But out of the gate, for penny stocks, I'm going to be watching COSM here out of the gate. And I'm trying to figure out how in the world is my portfolio still getting smacked to the downside. I mean, my losses haven't gone up that much. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. That would make sense. Ooh, man. Oh, that's brutal. I can't look at it. I can't look at it. Don't look at your long-term portfolios, guys. Just don't do it. It'll make you sick to your stomach. Let's go check out some of those mid-candle breakouts. So VERU starting to break above 1289. That's where volume could really start to move on in, and then really getting some action over that 1332 here on VERU. RUBY is another mid-candle breakout opportunity, and so is NUTX. So I would say right now, let's just shift our focus over to some of these mid-candle breakouts. We do have KTX trying to get some action. You have RUBY creeping up a little bit. You do have VERU creeping up a little bit as well. And I would say VERU has the most potential to the upside. We could see this up towards around that 1541 level. Right now we're at 13, so that's about $2.50 to the upside. NUTX has about $1.50 to the upside. So I look at VERU, and this one looks like it has more potential to get a bigger move to the upside here on VERU. So yeah, NUTX, no, NKTX, unless NUTX is moving right now. Yeah, NUTX is getting a little bit of a pop. We could see this up towards around 1348, but I want to put some focus here on these mid-candle breakouts. Right now, we're breaking that first level, yesterday's low on VERU, and that's what we ideally want to see with mid-candle breakouts. We want to see a slight gap down, and when we start breaking that red day's low, that's a good indication that we could start to see that mid-candle breakout. So right now, VERU is starting to get that action. Right now, NKTX is starting to get that action at this point in time. But I see VERU setting up to be a much better mid-candle breakout with a little bit lower risk as well. 1332 break really gets me excited up to 1433 and then 1541. You really don't want to see this falling back below yesterday's low of day at 1288. So if this is coming back down below 1288 into the 1275s and you guys are long for the mid-candle breakout, that's where you want to get out. Falling back below those two levels, you're most likely going to come back down the low a day and then crack low a day and fade. Mid-candle breakouts, they work typically immediately. You start to see that gap down. A plus setup, great stuff. Breaking that red day's low, that's when these things really start to get that volume, really start to take on off, and they typically don't look back. They just start moving to the upside. Breaking the prior day's close is the next step at 1316. And then breaking yesterday's open would be the next confirmation to get. So over 1316 and then 1330, we're looking really good for a mid-candle breakout up into the $14 and maybe even $15 area here on VERU. So again, we don't want to see this below like 1275. If this is a big nasty rejection candle, this is probably not going to get that solid mid-candle breakout that we're expecting. So we are back below yesterday's low of day of 1289. We really want to see these buyers hold this 1289 on up and really get that follow through over that 1316 and 1330 here on VERU for this to be a solid mid-candle breakout. Nasty rejection on NUTX, RUBY, nothing yet. I still think one of the better mid-candle breakouts is VERU. So right now this could be one of those sleeper plays if all else fails. VIVX doing not a whole lot, KTRA falling, COSM falling, AFIB falling, NUTX falling, FRGE falling, right? Look across the board, nothing's happening. This could be that really nice mid-candle breakout sleeper play that gets something going for us today. So we are going to be watching this right now at this point in time to see if we can hold above and stay above that 1289 and get some action up over 1316 and 1330. So right now, let's bring that down to 1285. So we put in that little hiccup candle, right? We can call that a hiccup candle. Couple green candles up, red candle, follow through. We came down to the 9 EMA, the VWAP, and that hiccup candle, and we are seeing it bounce just a little bit. So right now, 1285 is that level that we do not want to see VERU falling below. So right now I'm taking a small stab on VERU right around this $13 area. My risk is about 15 cents a share. Again, very, very small position. I know the market's very choppy. It's unpredictable. You got to play with the chop. I look across the board. I don't see anything else right now really doing too much or setting up. So if we do start to see this take on off, and we know VERU can take on off, I want to make sure that I'm in at the lowest level possible, but also not chasing the stock, not taking on too much risk, not being too aggressive, but still dabbling with this, getting my feet wet, testing the waters, just to see if we start to get that follow through for a mid-candle breakout. And worst case scenario, I'd take like a $50 loss, right? It's such a small risk that it's worth getting in now to see if this thing just starts really taking on off, as not a lot of other stocks are really doing too much at this point in time in the market. So AGRX, that's a reverse stock split, guys. That's a reverse stock split on AGRX. So the reason it's up 3,200% is not because there was any news or any kind of buying pressure. It's simply because they did a 1-to-40 reverse stock split there on AGRX. So let's say if we start to get that hype here on VERU. I have a very small position to test the waters to see. I'm risking about 10 to 15 cents at most, and we see $1, $2 plus potential on this. And if it comes down below that 12.85, I walk away, and then we look to see if it sets back up. But if it does start to get some action, which right now it doesn't really look like it's going to, we could always look to re-enter if it is giving us that opportunity. And right now, it's just not looking great. I mean, across the board, nothing really looks all that fantastic right now at this point in time. But let's see. Looking at the SPY as well. The SPY's not really doing a whole lot right now at this point in time. Qs are kind of sitting sideways as well. Yeah, so with paper accounts, it's not going to recognize if that's a reverse stock split, because that's not how it would actually work. If you actually own those shares for a reverse stock split, you would just be, your cost basis would be readjusted, and you'd be given a new share amount to reflect that reverse stock split. So AGRX, again, not really worth our time. VIVK, trying to get a nice little higher low bounce here above 3. Again, KTRA, I didn't really think it was going to be worth our time today. COSM was the one stock that I think has good opportunity. So we're still watching this one above that 203 level. We did just come down, and we bounced off that 203 level. You could put a little bit of this downtrend here on COSM if you guys want. And let's see if we get a quick little double bottom break of the downtrend to possibly get something going on COSM. VIVK, still trying. I like COSM a little bit. AFIB, not too much. NUTX, still falling. FRGE, nothing. EVOK, falling on down a little bit. VERU is struggling. RUBY, nothing yet. NX, or NKTX, nothing really happening there right now. So COSM, I would say this is the #1 stock to be focused on right now. If we put in a nice little double bottom, break the downtrend, that could be a decent little entry to get something going, because you're buying right off support. You could have literally 10 to 15 cents of risk, and we know that we can get back up towards around that 245, 250 level. So we can make about 40 to 50 cents a share, risking about 10 to 15 cents if we do put in that double bottom and then follow through with a nice little break of the downtrend. So COSM is one of the top stocks I am watching right now at this point in time. And CYN, guys, get some action right now. So support's back down at 375. And then $5. So we could see CYN up towards around $5. But right now, I'm watching COSM here. But CYN right now is really getting some action. So CYN, support back down at 375. Top resistance, 494 here on CYN. That's loud. Oh no. Oh no. My remote doesn't work. There's no batteries in it. All right, the SPY, guys. The SPY is currently at 420.84. That was one of our levels of resistance. We are approaching that multi-day downtrend on the SPY. And we are approaching that level here on the Qs as well. So if you guys are thinking short, you guys are thinking another red day, you guys are getting really, really close to those levels of resistance and the downtrends as well. So these are two key areas to really be watching the SPY and to really be watching the Qs as well. So if we're looking at CYN, so if we look at CYN and yesterday's high a day was at 376. So that would be a decent little level of support on CYN. Nice break, nice retest coming on up. If we pull back on nice healthy decreasing volume into that 375 level, that's also the VWAP today. So that would be a nice little break and retest into a prior level of resistance, hold as new support. Also the VWAP, we could see 430 and then up towards around, I would actually say like 483 to $5. I'd say your first target would be right around that 483 and then up towards around $5 here on CYN. So let's see if this is a really nice, healthy, decreasing volume pullback into that 375. That could be a great little entry here on CYN. And then we're watching the SPY and the Qs as well, guys. So I am liking CYN. I like the increased volume as we're breaking out. I like the decreased volume as we're pulling back, telling me sellers are slowly working themselves out of the stock back into a level of support. And we could easily see those buyers transition back in, regain control, start pushing this back up to 425, 430, and then 483 on CYN. So let's see if we have any action here with CYN coming on up, guys. Again, we're looking at that 375 being a really good level. It may not make it all the way down to 375, guys. We could hold the 9 EMA and just push right off that 9 EMA. But if we do see it come down to that 375 and then start to bounce and follow through, that would be 10 times better. And the SPY is getting pretty darn close here, guys. Really close. So if we come up to the downtrend in that 422.26 level and get rejected, we would expect it to come back down towards around that 418 mark on the SPY. back down towards around that 418, 419. So that's still about a $2 to $2.50 target, and that's just your first target. Then you'd be looking back down at 416 there on the SPY. And then VIVK was the press release that they won a contract for the sale of asphalt up towards around $250 million over the next 10 years. This stock has room back to 467. And then if we break 467 and 5, that's the stock that could start filling this gap, guys, as VIVK. You'd have some light support back down at 356. We can see that resistance is right there at 417 and then 467 over 467 and 5. Expect to see this thing really take on off as we do have that gap to fill up towards around 633. But right now I am watching CYN at this point in time as well above this 376 level. See if we get a nice little bounce here back up to high a day and then the 430s on CYN. Is EVOK a dead stock? Absolutely. It's below the 200 SMA. It's below 80 cents. Absolutely looking pretty dead at this point in time. The only two stocks that you guys should really be focused on right now for pennies, VIVK over 417, next target 467, over 467, 5, and then 551. Then 633 and possibly 715 here on VIVK. So it's between VIVK and CYN, but I like CYN better, and here's why. You're closer to support, right? You're that much closer to support on CYN. So this is a stock that gives you a little bit less risk here on CYN, and this stock has had a lot of action over the past couple of days here on CYN. So now we absolutely should be watching CYN here as we came down to 375, came down into the VWAP as well. We are starting to see some buying volume move in, back above 4. We have room to 425, 430, and then possibly up towards around that 483 and then $5 area here on CYN. Bottom support right now, 375. So right now, high watch here on CYN team. Again, you have bottom support at 375. VIVK looks like it's pulling back off those highs. VIVK. Pulling back off those highs. So right now you have support at 356. But CYN is that stock that ripped on up. Nice, healthy, decreasing volume pullback into the 375 and VWAP. Nice little bounce with volume. Now we're starting to possibly see that higher low very, very quick. But that could be that higher low that gets this thing back above 4 to bring that volume back in. But at worst case, we do not want to see this dropping below that 375, 376 level. As long as we hold above 375, 376, we can still see buyers step back in and push this back up to 425, 430, and then our top target would be 483 here on CYN. So if we can start to see a little bit of volume step on in here to CYN. There's some big buyers coming in. 10K at 390. Let's see if buyers can step up above that. Got 392, 393, 94. I'm in. I'm long CYN. Right off that 90 MA, off the higher low, stops below 375. We have potential up to 425 and 430. So right now I took a little stab at CYN as we do have some big buyers stepping up. We do have that volume increasing, and the volume matches the stock very, very well. Pulling back on decreased volume. Anytime we bounce, we have a pop in volume as well. The chart doesn't look all that bad either. Nice pullback to 375, bounce, trying to form this higher low for the break back above 4. And that's what could definitely get this thing going back up to high a day and 430 on CYN. We want to see it follow through right now and break 4. Right now, this is the point that we would see the stock break out and rip if it's going to break out and rip. If it starts to fall back down to 375, I lose a little bit of confidence. But if we can start following through and breaking this $4 level off that higher low, one big U-shaped formation, that could really get this thing going, guys. But play it smart, play it safe. The market's still choppy. Regardless of how beautiful the setup looks, regardless of how clean it is, the market's still choppy. So again, position yourself correctly just in case it chops around a little bit before actually making that move. If that means scaling back and taking less size, scale back and take less size. We'd ideally like to see this candle breaking through $4. We got about 4 seconds left on this candle. Let's see how the next one opens on up and see if we can get that little pop through 4. Get a nice little 25-30 cents out of it possibly. But again, market conditions are market conditions. Play it smart, play it safe. If you're scaling in, reducing your position sizing, you're doing the right things just to make sure if the stock's choppy that you can still hold on to a trade, open up your stop a little bit, and not just get prematurely stopped out left and right. But a break here over 4 is what we need to see to really get this thing going. Got about 10K at 395. Bids are stepping up. Bids are at 399. Buyers are really struggling to get over $4 here. But over 4, that's when we could see it really start taking on off. 398, 20,000 shares, 2,000 shares, 399 on the bid. We need to see these buyers over 4 to get this thing going. If we can't break 4 here, guys, watch for it to come back down to 375. Not really what you want to see here. If that was that higher low U-shape for the follow through for the break, it should have broken over the last couple of minutes. Right now, coming back down to that 375, it reduces your odds of being on the right side of the trade. Steve said, what would Josh do? WWJD, what would Josh do? NUTX, starting to get some action. Again, guys, I mean, we're about 30 minutes in, and there hasn't really been anything super clean. I mean, look at the chop on VERU. Chopping around a lot, now trying to get the mid-candle breakout, right? NKTX, chopping around a lot, now trying to get that mid-candle breakout. So this is what I mean. Trading with the chop. We already know the market's going to be a little bit on the choppier side. So how do we take these trades without taking on too much heat just in case things are choppy? Just scale in, right? Just scale in. If it works out and it starts ripping, okay, at least you have a position on the table. But if it doesn't work out, you're really reducing your risk on the trade. So the SPY and the Qs got very, very close to that level of resistance.